Hello, cherished audience. Today, we embark on another journey filled with captivating stories. If you find this content enriching, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below to stay tuned for more. Your support means the world to me. Thank you for joining me on this adventure.
Story 1. Tell me who you love, and I will tell you who you are. John Blanchard jumped up from the bench, straightened his military uniform, and watched the people rushing into Central Station. He was looking for a girl he was very familiar with but never knew, the girl with the rose branch. He knew her 13 months ago in a Florida library. When he took down a book from the shelf, he couldn't help but be curious, not because of the book's content, but because of the pencil notes in the margin of the book. The words reflected a person with a delicate and deep inner self. He found the name of the borrower before him on the front of the book, Miss Hollis Meynell. After a while of searching, he found the girl's address. She lives in New York City. He wrote a letter introducing himself and expressing his desire to get acquainted. The next day he had to board a ship to join the army and participate in World War II. 13 months have passed. The two have gotten to know and understand each other through letters. Each letter is like a seed of love blooming in their hearts. A romance is slowly growing. Blanchard wanted a photo, but the girl refused. She thinks that if he really loves her, it doesn't matter what she looks like. Then the day he returned from Europe came. They arranged to meet for the first time, 7 p.m. at Central Station in New York. "You will recognize me," the girl wrote. "I will wear a red rose on my collar." At exactly 7 p.m., he was at the station and looked for the girl he loved but had never met. Let Blanchard himself tell you how it happened. A young woman walked towards me, with a slim figure. Her blonde hair curled around her small ears. Her blue eyes are as clear as flower petals. Her lips and chin are lovely. In her light blue coat she is radiant and fresh like spring is coming. I started walking towards her, and completely didn't notice that she wasn't wearing a rose. As I walked up, a provocative smile on her lips, she whispered, "Will you come with me?" Completely unable to resist, I stepped closer towards her, when suddenly I saw Hollis Meynell. She stood right behind this girl. A woman in her 40s, gray hair neatly tucked under a worn hat. Her body is short and thick. Her feet with big ankles are squeezed tightly into low-heeled shoes. The girl in the blue shirt quickly walked away. I felt like my heart was divided in two. One half was eager to chase the girl, but deep down in my heart was for the woman whose soul had accompanied and supported me. And that person is still standing there. The face is pale, round, gentle and affectionate. The eyes are gray-brown with a warm and kind look. I no longer hesitate. My fingers clutch the faded blue leather book that helped her recognize me. Maybe this is no longer just love but something precious, something perhaps even more than love, a friendship that I have and must cherish and be grateful for having. I stood up, greeted her and gave her the book, but I still felt a sense of disappointment and bitterness in my heart as I said, "I'm John Blanchard, and you must be Meynell. I'm very happy that you came to meet me. Shall I invite you to dinner?" The woman's face relaxed into a generous smile. I don't know what it's all about, son, she replied, but a young girl in a blue shirt passed by here. She asked for permission to put this flower on my collar, and said that if you come to invite me to dinner, I will tell you that she is waiting for you at the big restaurant around the corner. She said this was just a small test. It's not hard to figure it all out, and I really admire Maynell's wisdom. If it is true love of the heart, then that love will be returned even if the person is not physically attractive. House Say wrote, "Tell me who you love and I will tell you who you are." Story 2, Greetings. A female worker worked at a frozen processing factory. That day, after completing work, as usual she went into the cold storage to check before leaving. Suddenly, the door was closed and locked, and she was locked inside without anyone knowing. She screamed hoarsely while banging on the door, hoping someone would hear her and come to save her, but still no one heard. At this time all the workers had finished their shift. The entire factory was quiet. After 6 p.m. that day, the female worker froze, despaired and suffered. Just when she thought she couldn't bear it anymore, suddenly a security guard came to open the door and saved her. A few days after getting well and returning to work, the girl asked the security guard why he knew she was there to open the door, even though this was not the area he managed. The guard replied, "I have worked at this factory for 35 years. Every day there are hundreds of workers coming in and out, but you are the only person who greet me every morning when you go to work and say goodbye to me after work at night, while there are so many people who pretend not to see me. Today, I knew you clearly went to work because early in the morning, you said, 'Hello, Uncle,' but after work in the afternoon, I didn't hear you say, 'Goodbye, see you tomorrow.' So I decided to go into the factory to see what it was like. I went to remote corners looking for you, and eventually heard you crying and found you in the freezer. Always be humble, courteous, love and respect those around you because you cannot know what will appear tomorrow. In everyday life, there are dozens or even hundreds of people that we have to meet and interact with. Among them are relatives, friends, colleagues or even security guards at the company, parking attendants or water vendors. Always pay attention and show respect to them. Respect is shown not by overly flashy or grand actions, but sometimes it's just greetings or smiles we give to the other person. Like the female worker in the story above, if she did not regularly greet the security guard, he would not have known of her existence, and would not have gone looking for her when she did not appear and bid him farewell. And if so, then the girl would be left alone until she froze to death in the freezer. Greetings are communication and respect for those around you.
Story 3, Enjoy the Present. An old man lived in a small village. The whole village felt annoyed because he was always complaining, making everyone around him feel in a gloomy mood. More and more, he made everyone around him uncomfortable. He always made people who met him feel unhappy. Therefore, everyone in the village tried their best to avoid facing him. But one day, when the old man turned 80, everyone was surprised by the rumor, "Today is a happy day for the old man. He doesn't complain about anything. He doesn't frown at all, not even still smiling a lot." The villagers gathered around the man and asked, "What happened to you?" "Nothing special. For the past 80 years I've been trying to pursue happiness, but it doesn't work. I just decided to live without happiness, just enjoy the present. It's surprising, that was also the time I felt the happiest ever. Never pursue happiness. Know how to appreciate the moments and things you have, just enjoy life and happiness will come to you. Story 4, Happiness at Your Feet. There are two tigers, one in a cage, one in the wild. The two tigers both thought that their own situation was not good, both admired the other, so they decided to change their identities with each other. At the beginning, both were extremely happy, but not long after that, both tigers died. One died of hunger, the other died of sadness. There are times when people turn a blind eye to their own happiness, then always keep an eye on the happiness of others. In fact, what you have is what others must admire. Story 5, The Deaf Frog. A group of frogs was moving through the forest when two frogs unfortunately fell into a deep hole. The other frogs looked at how deep the hole was and concluded that it was too deep to get out. They advised the other two frogs to keep their strength, because there was no hope. Ignoring those words, the two frogs that fell into the hole still tried to find a way to jump out of the hole. The frogs on the edge of the hole not only did not encourage them but also advised them to give up. One of the two frogs, after several attempts to jump, was exhausted and gave up. Meanwhile, the remaining frog jumped more and more enthusiastically and finally it jumped out of the hole with all its strength. Once outside, the other frogs asked, "Didn't you hear what we said?" The little frog explained that, because he was deaf, he thought the whole group of frogs was cheering him on as he tried to jump out. Happiness is simply knowing how to ignore the judgments and gossip from people around you and continue to live for yourself. You can't control what happens in your life, what you can control is how you react to the world.